The laughter echoed through the crystalline halls like breaking glass. Neil Brooks kept his face blank as another council member slapped their appendage against the podium, wheezing with what passed for amusement among the Salari. He had expected this. Humans always prepared for the worst. Observer status, Draven announced from his elevated seat, his three eyes gleaming with barely concealed contempt. Perhaps in another century, when your species learns to leave your own star system, we can revisit this conversation. Neil nodded slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. The gesture looked submissive. It was anything but. The people of Earth appreciate the Council's consideration. More laughter rippled through the chamber. 847 species had membership in the Council of Seven Spheres. Today, Neil represented the species that would remain number 848. The one that didn't count. A delegate from the Korthic Empire leaned forward, her scales catching the ambient light. Tell us, human, do your people still use chemical combustion to reach orbit? How quaint. We do, Neil replied evenly. Chemical rockets have served us well for 2 centuries. The Korthic delegate smiled, showing rows of crystalline teeth. My people mastered gravitic propulsion 15,000 years ago. Your presence here is almost charming in its primitive enthusiasm. Neil pulled out his tablet, an Earth device that looked laughably crude compared to the holographic interfaces surrounding him. He tapped a few notes. The delegates probably thought he was recording the session. They were wrong. He was recording their faces, their tells, the way Draven's middle eye twitched when he lied, how the Salari ambassador shifted left when uncomfortable. Humans were very good at reading people. It came from evolving on a planet where predators hid in tall grass and friendly faces could mask hostile intent. Neil had spent 15 years studying these aliens. He knew more about them than they would ever suspect. The Council recognizes Earth's petition for membership has been denied, Draven said formally. You may continue to observe our proceedings as a guest, but you will have no vote, no voice in galactic affairs. Your system remains outside Council protection. We understand, Neil said quietly. Earth will remember this day. Something in his tone made Draven pause, but the moment passed. The Council leader moved on to the next agenda item, dismissing Earth as completely as one would dismiss an insect. Neil remained standing for the required interval, then walked to the observer section, a row of seats reserved for species too irrelevant to matter. He sat between a fungal colony from the outer rim and a crystalline being that communicated through light pulses. Neither paid him attention. Neil preferred it that way. Invisibility had its advantages. The session droned on for hours. Trade disputes, border negotiations, technology sharing agreements. Neil recorded everything, his eyes tracking each speaker, each subtle political alliance. The Korthic Empire was pushing for expansion rights near the Orion Arm. The Salari Federation wanted access to rare minerals in the Carina region. 3 smaller species were forming a voting bloc to counter Draven's growing influence: information. Humans had learned long ago that information was the first weapon in any conflict. When the session finally ended, Neil gathered his primitive tablet and walked through corridors that hummed with technologies Earth couldn't dream of replicating. Gravity fields that adjusted to each species' comfort. Atmospheric processors that created breathable environments in localized pockets. Translation matrices that converted thousands of languages in real time. Earth had none of this. Earth had something else. The human embassy was a converted cargo module attached to the station's outer ring. Small, cramped, barely large enough for Neil and his 2 assistants. He entered the airlock, waited for the pressure to equalize, and stepped into the only place in the galaxy where Earth's gravity felt right. Sarah Kim looked up from her workstation. How bad? Denied. Observer status maintained indefinitely. Neil set his tablet on the charging station. Draven enjoyed himself. They're still using the standard encryption on their governmental channels, David Park added from the communication suite. We've been monitoring their private discussions for 6 hours. They're planning to use Sol System as a buffer zone if the Korthic Solari dispute escalates. Neil felt his jaw tighten. A buffer zone meant Earth would be caught in the crossfire of species that considered humanity irrelevant. They would fight their wars in human space without asking permission, without even acknowledging that 8 billion people lived in that system. Send the data to General Hayes, Neil said. Earth defense needs to accelerate Project Nightfall. Sarah hesitated. Are we sure about this? Once we reveal our capabilities, we reveal nothing until we're ready, Neil interrupted. Today taught us everything we needed to know. They see us as children playing with fireworks. Good. Let them keep thinking that. He walked to the viewport, staring out at the vast station that housed the galaxy's power brokers. Somewhere in those gleaming spires, Draven was probably sharing drinks with his allies, celebrating another successful dismissal of the upstart humans. Neil smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Humans had been underestimated before. By Neanderthals who thought these strange thin primates were weak. By mammoths who didn't fear the tiny hunters. By every empire in Earth's bloody history that assumed technological superiority guaranteed victory. They all learned eventually. The galaxy would too. Continue standard monitoring, Neil ordered. I want every transmission cataloged, every private conversation recorded. When Earth speaks again, we'll know exactly what to say. David nodded. The quantum relay picked up something interesting. There's a faction within the Cellari Federation that's unhappy with Draven's leadership. They might be potential allies. Note it. We'll need friends when the time comes. Neil turned from the viewport. How long until the Mars colonies reach full production capacity? 18 months, Sarah reported. The lunar shipyards are ahead of schedule. General Hayes says we'll have our first fleet operational in 3 years. 3 years. Barely a moment in galactic terms. The Council measured time in centuries. But humans had built civilizations, conquered planets, and split atoms in less time than most of these species took to negotiate a trade agreement. Patience was a virtue. But humans had learned patience from a harsh teacher. Earth had thrown ice ages, supervolcanoes, pandemics, and extinction events at humanity. Each time, humans had survived by being smarter, faster, more adaptable than everything trying to kill them. The galaxy thought Earth was silent because humans had nothing to say. They were wrong. Earth was silent because humans were listening, learning, preparing. Neil Brooks returned to his desk and began composing his report to the UN Space Command. The Council had made their position clear. Now Earth would make theirs, not today, not tomorrow, but soon. The galaxy would learn what humans already knew. Silence wasn't weakness. It was the moment before the storm. Rebecca Stone stared at the quantum entanglement matrix and watched something impossible become real. The particles synchronized across 12 light years of empty space, transmitting information instantaneously. No light speed delay, no signal degradation. Perfect communication across the void. We did it, she whispered. Her team erupted in celebration. 3 years of work, countless failures, and now success. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, in a facility that officially didn't exist, humanity had just solved faster-than-light communication without asking the galaxy for help. General Patricia Hayes entered the laboratory, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. The celebration died down as the military commander approached the main display. It works perfectly. Rebecca pulled up the data streams. We can communicate with Mars base in real time. No delay. The Council uses quantum relays, but their technology requires massive power generators. Ours runs on a fusion cell the size of a briefcase. Hayes smiled. It was the smile of a predator that had just found prey. How soon can we deploy this across the fleet? 6 months for full integration. Rebecca highlighted sections of the schematic. We reverse-engineered the principles from Council transmissions we've been intercepting. They talk about their technology constantly, never thinking anyone is listening. They still believe we're stuck with radio waves and chemical rockets. Hayes moved to the tactical display, showing Sol System. Red dots marked human installations across the solar system. Mars housed 3 million colonists. Europa's underwater cities held another 2 million. Titan's methane refineries employed 50,000 workers. The asteroid belt was littered with mining stations and manufacturing plants. all of it hidden from Council surveillance through careful planning and strategic misdirection. Humanity had spread through their solar system like roots beneath soil, invisible until the tree finally broke the surface. Hayes pointed to Neptune's orbit. The Corthic-Solari border dispute is heating up. Their fleets are maneuvering close to our outer territories. They're using Sol system as neutral ground, Rebecca said bitterly. Like we don't exist. Let them. Hayes pulled up intelligence reports. Our listening posts have intercepted their tactical communications. We know their fleet compositions, their weapon capabilities, their strategic doctrines. When they fight, we'll learn even more. Rebecca walked to the observation window, overlooking the assembly floor below. Rows of spacecraft in various stages of construction filled the massive underground hangar. They didn't look like Council ships. Human engineers had taken a different path, building vessels designed around Earth's unique strengths, smaller, faster, more maneuverable, armed with weapons that didn't rely on particle beams or plasma cannons. Humanity had looked at galactic warfare and decided to play a different game entirely. How many ships are operational? Rebecca asked. 200 combat-ready vessels. Hayes joined her at the window. Another 300 in construction across 6 shipyards. The Council thinks we have maybe a dozen experimental craft. They have no idea we've been building an armada. What about Project Nightfall? Hayes' expression hardened. The kinetic platforms are in position. Thousands of them scattered across the solar system, disguised as mining equipment and communication satellites. If anyone threatens Earth, we can turn our entire star system into a kill zone. Rebecca felt a chill. She was a scientist, not a soldier, but even she understood the implications. Humanity had weaponized their home with a thoroughness that would terrify any species that discovered the truth. Railguns that could accelerate projectiles to relativistic speeds. Missile clusters with nuclear and antimatter warheads. Laser arrays powerful enough to cut capital ships in half. All hidden, all waiting. Are we really doing this? Rebecca asked quietly. Hiding our strength, pretending to be weak. We're doing what humans have always done, Hayes replied. We're surviving. The Council made their position clear. We're not welcome. We're not valued. We're not even acknowledged as a real threat. Fine. We'll use that. A priority alert flashed on the main display. Hayes pulled up the message, her eyes scanning quickly. Ambassador Brooks reports the Council just voted to allow Corthic warships to refuel in the Kuiper Belt. They didn't consult Earth. They're treating our territory like it's theirs. Rebecca felt anger rise in her chest. 3 years ago, humanity had approached the Council with open hands, seeking friendship and cooperation. They'd been laughed at, dismissed, treated like children who didn't understand how the adult galaxy worked. The adults were about to learn a hard lesson. Children grew up, sent a message to Mars Command. Hayes ordered, I want stealth drones monitoring every Corthic ship that enters our system. If they so much as sneeze without permission, I want to know about it. Rebecca returned to her workstation, pulling up the quantum relay network. Messages flowed between Earth and the scattered colonies, all of them encrypted with codes the Council couldn't break. Humanity had learned cryptography from trying to hide from each other for thousands of years. Alien computers were powerful, but they thought in different patterns. Human encryption, built on Earth's chaotic mathematical principles, was proving surprisingly difficult for galactic AI to crack. Dr. Stone, a junior researcher, approached nervously. We're picking up something unusual. A Council science vessel just entered the outer system. They're broadcasting on open channels. Rebecca pulled up the transmission. A Salari research team requesting permission to study Jupiter's radiation belts. Standard scientific mission, all very proper and official. Do they know we're monitoring them? Rebecca asked. Impossible. We're receiving their transmissions passively. No active sensors. The researcher hesitated. But their trajectory will take them past our Europa facilities. If they scan deeply enough, they won't find anything, Hayes interrupted. Europa's domes are buried under ice and shielded against detection. Let them look. Let them report back that humanity is still struggling with basic orbital mechanics. Rebecca watched the Solari ship drift through the outer system, completely unaware that a dozen human vessels shadowed its every move, tracking it with sensors the Council didn't know existed. The scientists aboard that ship would return to their people with data confirming humanity's primitive status. Perfect, her console chimed with an incoming message from Neil Brooks. The ambassador's report was brief and direct. Council intelligence had finally noticed Earth's increased radio traffic. They were curious, but not concerned. Current assessment: humanity was probably arguing among themselves about resource distribution in their limited orbital space. Rebecca laughed. The Council was so convinced of human inferiority that they interpreted evidence to fit their assumptions. Yes, there was increased communication. Because humanity had spread across 8 planets and 40 moons and hundreds of habitats. But the Council saw what they expected: primitive beings squabbling over scraps. "General," Rebecca said carefully, "when do we reveal ourselves?" Hayes considered the question. "When revealing ourselves gives us maximum advantage. Not before. Earth can afford to wait. We've been preparing for this moment since we first detected the Council's existence. Every day we remain hidden is another day to build, to learn, to strengthen our position. And if they discover us early, then we adapt. Humans are very good at adaptation." Hayes gestured to the display showing Sol Systems defenses. "But I don't think they'll find us. They're looking for threats that match their understanding of technology. We're building something different." Rebecca nodded. Humanity had always been the outsider, the species that didn't fit established patterns. On Earth, that meant constant struggle against a planet that seemed designed to kill them. In space, it meant developing technologies and strategies that no other species would think to use. The Council had 50,000 years of galactic history to draw upon. Humanity had 5 million years of surviving on the most hostile garden world in the galaxy. Earth had taught its children well. "Continue the work," Hayes ordered. "I want full quantum relay coverage within 3 months. Every ship, every base, every outpost connected in real time. When we finally speak, the galaxy needs to understand they're not dealing with a scattered species. They're dealing with a unified civilization." Rebecca returned to her calculations, mind already racing through implementation challenges. Around her, the team worked with quiet intensity. No celebration now, just focused determination. Somewhere above them, the Council continued their games of politics and power, completely unaware that Earth was watching every move, learning every secret, preparing for the day when humanity would step onto the galactic stage, not as supplicants begging for acceptance. As equals demanding respect, the galaxy had made humanity wait. Soon, the waiting would end. Share artifacts download all Part 6 document, MD Part 5 document, MD Part 3 document, MD Part 4 document, MD Part 1 document, MD Part 2 document, MD Story Outline document, MD. The Korthic warship tumbled through space, venting atmosphere and radiation. Its crew of 200 were dying, and the Council was doing nothing about it. Neil Brooks watched the emergency broadcast from his embassy office, anger building in his chest. The border war between the Korthic Empire and Solari Federation had finally erupted into open combat. Battle fleets clashed near Neptune, treating Sol System like empty territory where they could kill each other without consequence. Council protocol forbids rescue operations during active combat, Draven announced to the chamber. The Korthic vessel entered a war zone. Its fate is sealed. Neil activated his communicator. "Get me General Hayes. Now." The general appeared on his screen within seconds. Behind her, he could see the combat operations center buried deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain. "I'm watching the same feed, Ambassador. That ship will drift into Earth's orbital space within 6 hours. 200 lives," Neil said quietly. "The Council is willing to let them die to maintain tactical neutrality." Hayes leaned forward. "Are you authorizing a rescue?" Neil thought about his orders from the UN Security Council. Maintain low profile. Avoid drawing attention. Let the galaxy continue believing Earth was irrelevant. Every diplomat instinct he possessed screamed at him to stay quiet, to let the Korthik die, to preserve humanity's strategic advantage. Then he thought about what it meant to be human, about the Coast Guard boats that launched into hurricanes to save strangers, about firefighters who ran into burning buildings, about medics who crossed battlefields under fire because someone needed help. "Send our ships," Neil ordered. "Save them." Hay smiled grimly. "I was hoping you'd say that. 3 vessels are already en route. Lisa Wu is in command." The emergency broadcast continued, showing the Korthik ship's desperate situation. Then, without warning, 3 new contacts appeared on the display. Ships moving at speeds that should have been impossible for human technology, closing on the stricken vessel with precision that suggested advanced targeting systems. The council chamber erupted in confusion. Draven's 3 eyes widened in genuine shock. "What are those?" Neil switched his communicator to broadcast mode, sending his message directly to the council's open emergency channel. His voice, calm and measured, cut through the chaos. "This is Ambassador Neil Brooks of Earth. 3 human vessels are responding to the Korthik distress call. We will render assistance in accordance with basic humanitarian principles. Council ships are advised to maintain distance from the rescue operation." Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. Then Draven found his voice. "Human vessels? Impossible. Earth has exactly what we need," Neil interrupted. His tone remained polite, but steel ran underneath. "You never asked what we were doing. We've been busy." Captain Lisa Wu kept her eyes on the tactical display as her ship, the UNSS Endeavour, matched velocity with the dying Korthik vessel. 2 sister ships flanked her position, their gravity drives holding them stable against the pull of Neptune's distant mass. "Radiation levels are critical," her science officer reported. "Their containment systems are failing." "Deploy the rescue pods," Lisa ordered. "Medical teams prepare for mass casualty treatment. I want every Korthik off that ship in 20 minutes." The rescue pods shot across the void, magnetic clamps seizing the Korthik hull. Human rescue workers in advanced environmental suits crossed into the alien ship, moving through corridors filled with radiation that would kill unprotected beings in seconds. But human suits were very good. Earth had learned radiation shielding from surviving their own nuclear age. The suits incorporated technology that would have impressed Council engineers if any of them had thought to check what Earth was developing. Lisa watched her people work with practiced efficiency. The first survivors came across, unconscious Korthik warriors carried by human medics. The aliens were massive, each one massing twice what a human did, but the rescue workers moved them quickly into medical bays where automated systems began treating radiation poisoning. "Council ships are moving toward our position," her tactical officer warned. "Let them watch," Lisa replied. "We're not doing anything threatening. We're just saving lives." Back in the council chamber, Draven was demanding answers. "How do humans have gravity-drive ships?" "Their technology level was assessed 3 years ago," Neil said mildly. "Based on what we showed you. We showed you chemical rockets and fusion reactors. We didn't show you everything else." The main display now carried live feeds from the rescue operation. Human ships, sleek and efficient, nothing like the bulky council designs. Human rescue workers moving with trained competence. Human medical systems treating alien physiology with sophisticated understanding that a Cellari delegate leaned forward. "Where did you acquire this technology?" "We built it," Neil replied. "Humans are very good at building things. We're also very good at listening. For 3 years, we've monitored council communications. Your scientists discuss their research in open channels. Your engineers share technical specifications. You taught us everything we needed to know. We just had to pay attention." The implications hit the chamber like a shockwave. Earth hadn't just developed advanced ships. They'd been conducting galactic espionage for years, learning from the council itself. Every secret meeting, every private negotiation, every technical discussion humanity had been listening. Draven's scales flushed dark with anger. "This is a violation of what law?" Neil interrupted. "Earth is not a council member. We're not bound by council regulations. You made that very clear 3 years ago. We took your advice. We remained in our system, developed our capabilities, and bothered no one. How many ships do you have? A Korthic delegate demanded. Neil smiled. Enough. The rescue operation concluded in 42 minutes. Every Korthic crew member was recovered, treated, and stabilized. The human ships departed as quickly as they'd arrived, vanishing into the void with the same impossible speed they'd demonstrated on approach. But they left something behind. A message transmitted on open channels, translated into every council language. Earth stands ready to assist any vessel in distress, regardless of political affiliation. We will not allow preventable deaths in our system. This is our space, and these are our values. Respect both. Neil closed the transmission and sat back, watching the chaos unfold in the council chamber. Delegates argued, demanded, threatened. Draven called for sanctions against Earth. Others called for immediate investigation of human capabilities. A few, Neil noticed, looked thoughtful. These were the ones who understood. Earth hadn't revealed strength out of pride or foolishness. They'd revealed it because lives were at stake, and humans didn't let people die when they could help. That said more about humanity than any demonstration of technology could. His communicator chimed. General Hayes appeared on screen, satisfaction evident in her expression. The galaxy knows we exist now. No going back. No, Neil agreed. Now we find out if they're smart enough to accept us as equals or stupid enough to see us as threats. And if they choose the second option. Neil looked at the tactical display, showing Sol System. Hundreds of defense platforms. Thousands of human ships. Billions of people united in purpose. Earth had prepared for this moment with the same thoroughness they prepared for everything in their violent history. Then they'll learn what happens when you underestimate humans, Neil said quietly. We didn't survive 5 million years on the most hostile planet in the galaxy by being weak. Hayes nodded. The Korthic Empire just sent a formal thank you. Their ambassador wants to speak with you privately. Schedule it, Neil ordered. It's time we started making friends. He ended the call and returned to the council display. The debate raged on, but the fundamental truth had changed. Earth was no longer invisible, no longer dismissed, no longer irrelevant. The galaxy had finally noticed humanity. Now came the hard part, making them understand that Earth's silence had never been submission, that IT had been preparation, and the preparation was complete. Intelligence reports flooded into council headquarters from every major civilization. What they revealed about Earth made 3 years of assumptions look like dangerous fiction. Rebecca Stone walked through the Mars Central Command facility, reviewing the latest surveillance data. Council spy drones had discovered the human colonies. Finally, they were only 3 years late. They found Olympus habitat, her assistant reported. Population 15,000. They're classifying it as a minor research outpost. Rebecca laughed. Minor outpost. We have 12 million people on Mars alone, and they think 15,000 is the total. The Council intelligence services were good, but they suffered from a critical flaw. They looked for what they expected to find. Human settlements buried under Martian soil, shielded against radiation and hidden from orbital scans, simply didn't register as cities. The Council saw small surface installations and assumed that was all Earth had built. They couldn't imagine a species that built downward instead of upward. Earth's history of bunkers, tunnels, and underground facilities had prepared humanity for exactly this kind of expansion. How long until they find the shipyards? Rebecca asked. Could be years. We built them inside hollowed-out asteroids. From outside, they look like mining operations. Her assistant pulled up the industrial reports. Current production is 300 vessels per year. By the time the Council realizes what we're doing, we'll have 5,000 ships operational. Rebecca moved to the observation deck overlooking Valles Marineris. The massive canyon system had been transformed into a city that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Pressurized habitats lined the canyon walls. Agricultural domes covered the floor. Transport systems moved millions of people through a civilization that rivaled anything the Council had built. All of it invisible from orbit. all of it dismissed as impossible by species that couldn't conceive of humans succeeding where more advanced civilizations would struggle. Back at the council station, Neil received the intelligence summary with grim satisfaction. The council knew Earth had advanced ships. They knew humanity had spread beyond their planet. What they didn't know was the scale. They're estimating our population at 5 billion. Neil reported to the emergency UN committee. We're actually at 15 billion spread across 6 planets and 43 moons. They think we have maybe 50 ships. We have 200 operational with 300 in construction. The Secretary General nodded slowly. How are they taking it? Draven's faction wants sanctions. They're calling us duplicitous, manipulative, dangerous. Neil smiled without humor. They're right, of course. We are dangerous. We're just not dangerous to anyone who leaves us alone. And the others? 3 species have reached out privately. They're interested in trade. The Salari Federation is split. Some see opportunity, others see threat. The Korthic Empire is grateful for the rescue. They're pushing for our membership. A new message appeared on Neil's display. He read it twice, making sure he understood correctly. Then he started laughing. Real, genuine laughter that made the committee members look at him with concern. Ambassador Brooks? The Secretary General asked carefully. Neil turned his screen so they could see. Draven just demanded we open our facilities for council inspection. He wants to verify our technological capabilities and ensure we're not developing weapons that violate council treaties. We're not members, the defense minister pointed out. Council treaties don't apply to us. Exactly. Neil's smile turned predatory. I'm going to tell him no. Then I'm going to remind him that Earth has been recording every council session for 3 years. Every private conversation. Every secret meeting. Every backroom deal. The committee went silent. This was the weapon they'd built in parallel with their ships and colonies. Information. Humans had listened to the galaxy's most powerful beings discussing things they thought were private. Corruption. Secret alliances. Treaty violations. Scandals that would destroy political careers if they became public. Are we really threatening the council? The Secretary General asked quietly. I prefer to call it negotiating from a position of strength, Neil replied. Draven wants to treat us like subjects who need permission to exist. I'm going to explain that Earth is offering partnership. Accept us as equals, or we'll release 3 years of recordings showing exactly how corrupt the council has become. The vote was unanimous. Earth would play hardball. Neil composed his response carefully. Polite language wrapped around an iron core. Earth would not submit to inspections. Earth would not accept restrictions on their development. Earth would, however, consider full council membership with all associated rights and responsibilities. And Earth had acquired certain information over the years. Information that would be safely stored in human archives, never to be released, assuming Earth received fair treatment. The message was diplomatic blackmail wrapped in flowery language. Neil sent it with no hesitation. Draven's response came within the hour. Rage, threats, demands for Earth submission. Neil filed it away and waited for the real response. The one from the council members who understood power dynamics. IT arrived 6 hours later. A private message from 3 senior delegates representing moderate factions. They wanted to meet, privately, to discuss Earth's integration into the council as full members. We're getting invitations to diplomatic functions, Sarah Kim reported from the embassy. Species that ignored us for 3 years suddenly want to talk trade agreements. Neil wasn't surprised. The galaxy ran on economics as much as politics. Earth's manufacturing capacity, suddenly revealed to be far more extensive than anyone suspected, made humanity valuable. The technologies humans had developed independently made them interesting. The implication that Earth might share those technologies made them essential. Accept the trade invitations, Neil ordered. But nothing formal until we have membership. Make it clear, Earth trades with equals, not subjects. General Hayes contacted him from Earth. Council military observers are requesting permission to witness our defensive capabilities. They want to see if we're really as advanced as we claim. What do you think? Hayes considered. We could show them enough to make them cautious without revealing our full strength. Let them see the missile platforms. Keep the kinetic kill systems hidden. Show them we can defend our system. Don't show them we could turn Sol into a death trap for any fleet stupid enough to attack. Do it, Neil agreed. Managed revelation. Let them think they understand our capabilities while keeping our ace in reserve. The demonstration was conducted 3 days later. Council observers watched as human defense platforms engaged simulated targets. Missiles with nuclear warheads destroyed mock enemy vessels. Point defense lasers intercepted incoming fire. The performance was impressive enough to make military analysts revise their estimates of human combat power. What they didn't see were the thousands of hidden platforms. The rail guns that could accelerate projectiles to relativistic speeds. The antimatter weapons that violated Council treaties Earth had never signed. The gravity mines that could tear capital ships apart. Earth showed strength. But not all of it. Never all of it. Neil watched the observers' reports with satisfaction. They were estimating Earth could defend against a medium-sized attack force. They were wrong. Earth could defend against a full battle fleet and probably win. But letting them underestimate humanity's strength was useful. Better to be thought weak and be strong than to be thought strong and prove weak. Draven made one final attempt at controlling Earth. He proposed a resolution requiring all developing species to submit to Council oversight. It was targeted directly at humanity, an attempt to force Earth into accepting secondary status. The resolution failed. Badly. Species that had remained neutral suddenly found their voices. Some because they saw Earth as a potential ally. Others because they'd received quiet messages reminding them that Earth had recordings of very interesting conversations. The vote was 237 in favor, 610 against. Draven's political capital took a severe hit. Neil sent a brief message to the Council leader. Earth remains interested in membership. As equals. The offer stands. That night, Rebecca called from Mars with news. The quantum relay network is fully operational. Every human installation is connected in real time. We're more unified than any Council species. Neil raised a glass of whiskey to his screen. To Earth. May the galaxy finally understand who they're dealing with. To Earth, Rebecca echoed. The species that learned patience from a planet that tried to kill them for 5 million years. Somewhere in the void, human ships patrolled their expanding territory. Human colonies grew stronger each day. Human scientists pushed the boundaries of what the Council thought possible. The galaxy had spent 3 years ignoring Earth. Now, they couldn't look away, and humanity was just getting started. Share artifacts download all story outline document MD. 20 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Mars. Their transponders identified them as independent pirates. Their attack vectors told a different story. General Patricia Hayes watched the tactical display from Earth Defense Command, her expression cold. Those aren't pirates. Look at their formation. Military precision. Confirmed, her tactical officer agreed. They're using standard Council assault patterns. Someone trained these people. Hayes pulled up the intelligence files her people had compiled over 3 years of listening to Council communications. Cross-referenced the ship's signatures. Found the connection within 90 seconds. Draven, she said quietly. These ships were decommissioned from the Korthic military 6 months ago. Sold to a mercenary group with ties to Council hardliners. He's testing us, her second-in-command realized. Make us beg for Council protection. Prove we need their help. Hayes smiled without warmth. Then let's show him what happens when you test humans. The attacking ships broadcast their demands. Sur des masses colonies en face bombardement. 2 million civilians at risk. The message was designed to create panic, to force Earth into calling for Council intervention, to demonstrate that humanity was still weak and needed protection. They had badly miscalculated. All ships, combat stations, Hayes ordered. Activate defense grid. Rules of engagement. Anyone threatening our people gets exactly 1 chance to leave. After that, we eliminate the threat. Across Sol system, weapons platforms that had lurked disguised as mining equipment and communication satellites suddenly came online. Targeting systems locked onto the mercenary fleet. Human warships that had been conducting routine patrols dropped their stealth protocols and moved into attack formation. The pirates probably thought they outnumbered the defenders. They were wrong. 40 human ships appeared on their sensors, moving with coordinated precision that suggested extensive combat training. Hayes opened a channel to the attacking fleet. Her voice was calm, almost pleasant. "This is General Patricia Hayes of Earth Defense Command. You are currently targeting human civilians. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave our system. This is your only warning." The mercenary commander laughed. "You think your primitive ships scare us? We have weapons that could glass your entire planet. Surrender now, or..." Hayes cut him off. "Your 30 seconds started 20 seconds ago. 10 seconds remaining." The mercenary fleet didn't move. They probably thought she was bluffing. Humans were supposed to be weak, frightened, desperate for council approval. They were about to learn how wrong that assessment was. "Time's up," Hayes said. "Engage." Mars defense grid activated. What the mercenaries had thought were civilian satellites revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Railgun spun up to operational speed. Missile pods opened. Laser arrays focused on targeting solutions. The first volley caught the pirates completely by surprise. Railgun projectiles, traveling at significant fractions of light speed, punched through shields and armor like they weren't there. 3 ships exploded in the first 5 seconds. 2 more lost propulsion and tumbled away, atmosphere venting. The human fleet didn't use exotic energy weapons or particle beams. They used kinetic kill vehicles accelerated to relativistic speeds. They used nuclear-tipped missiles that detonated in precise patterns to maximize destruction. They used tactics developed from centuries of humans killing each other with ever-increasing efficiency. The galaxy had forgotten something important. Earth was the only garden world humanity knew. Every other species in the Council had encountered other civilizations, learned warfare from external threats. Humans had learned warfare from each other. They'd refined the art of killing through 5,000 years of increasingly sophisticated conflicts. Now they brought those lessons to space. Captain Lisa Wu commanded the UNSS Endeavour, leading a strike group that flanked the enemy formation. Target their command ship. Disable communications first, then engines. Her weapons officer grinned. Missiles away. The human missiles didn't just fly straight. They maneuvered, anticipated countermeasures, coordinated with each other in patterns that confused enemy point defense systems. The mercenary command ship managed to intercept the first wave. The second wave came from a different angle. The third wave struck home. Hayes watched from Earth as the battle unfolded with brutal efficiency. 14 minutes after engagement, 15 pirate ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 5 were fleeing at maximum speed, their commanders broadcasting surrender on all frequencies. "Let them go," Hayes ordered. "I want them to report back to whoever sent them. I want Draven to know exactly what happened here." One of the damaged ships transmitted a desperate plea. "We have wounded. Request medical assistance." Hayes considered. The human thing to do was help. The strategic thing was to let them suffer. She chose humanity. Send rescue teams. Treat their wounded. Then put them in holding cells pending investigation. She looked at her staff. "We're going to prove who sent them. We're going to make this very public." Back at the council station, Neil Brooks received real-time updates from the battle. The fight was already over by the time he reached the council chamber. He carried a data pad containing full tactical recordings and intelligence reports. Draven sat in his elevated position, trying to look unconcerned. The other council members were watching feeds from their own intelligence services, seeing what Earth had just done. "Ambassador Brooks," Draven said carefully, "I understand there was an incident in your system. An attack on civilians," Neil corrected. 20 warships attempted to force the surrender of Mars colonies. They were eliminated in 14 minutes with 0 human casualties. Shocked silence filled the chamber. 14 minutes, 20 ships, 0 casualties. Those numbers suggested military capability far beyond what the Council had estimated. Neil activated his datapad. Holographic displays appeared in the chamber, showing ship registries, financial transactions, communications between Draven's political allies and the mercenary group. These ships were decommissioned Korthic vessels sold through intermediaries with direct ties to Council hardliners, Neil stated. The attack was designed to create a crisis requiring Council intervention, thereby proving Earth needed protection and oversight. He let that hang in the air. Let everyone understand what it meant. A council leader had ordered an attack on civilians to make a political point that Draven's scales flushed dark. This is fabrication. Earth cannot prove. We recorded everything. Neil interrupted. Encrypted communications between your staff and the mercenary commanders. Financial transfers. Planning sessions. We have 3 years of surveillance data on council operations. Did you really think we weren't watching? The chamber erupted. Delegates demanded explanations. Some defended Draven. Others called for his immediate removal. The political unity that had kept Earth marginalized for 3 years shattered in moments. Neil waited for the chaos to die down. When he spoke again, his voice carried across the chamber with absolute clarity. Earth has demonstrated our defensive capabilities. We will not tolerate threats to our people. We will not accept oversight from a council that sponsors attacks on civilians. We will, however, accept full membership with equal voting rights and complete autonomy over our internal affairs. He paused, looking directly at Draven. Or we can release all 3 years of surveillance data to every news network in the galaxy. Every secret deal, every corruption scandal, every violation of council principles. Your choice. It wasn't even subtle blackmail anymore. It was a direct threat delivered in formal diplomatic language that a Cellari delegate stood. The Council recognizes Earth's legitimate grievances. A move to expedite humanity's membership application with full rights and privileges. Dozens of others joined in support. Some because they believed it was right. Others because they'd just seen Earth destroy a military force in minutes and didn't want to be next. Most because they understood that humanity held enough dirt on council operations to cause political chaos for decades. Draven tried to fight it, tried to maintain control, but his support evaporated as delegate after delegate voted in favor of Earth's immediate membership. The final tally was overwhelming. 743 in favor, 98 against. Earth had gone from rejected observer to full council member in less than a week. Neil allowed himself a small smile. Earth accepts. We look forward to productive cooperation with all council species. He didn't mention that human ships were already patrolling the outer reaches of council space. Didn't mention that Earth's intelligence network now extended far beyond Sol System. Didn't mention that humanity had just demonstrated they could fight and win against numerically superior forces. The galaxy would figure it out eventually. For now, it was enough that Earth had a seat at the table. General Hayes contacted him privately. We captured the mercenary commanders alive. They're confirming everything. Draven's political career is finished. Good, Neil replied. But don't execute them. Put them on trial. Make everything public. Let the galaxy see what happens when you threaten humans. He closed the connection and looked out at the council chamber. Representatives from 847 species, now joined by humanity as number 848. Earth silence was over. Now came the part where the galaxy learned what humanity had been preparing for. The test had come early. Humanity had passed. Share artifacts, download, all story outline document, MD. Neil Brooks approached the podium where 3 years ago he'd been laughed at and dismissed. Today the council chamber was silent, waiting. 847 species watched as humanity prepared to take its place among them. Draven was gone. Resigned in disgrace after the mercenary attack scandal became public. His replacement, a moderate Korthic named Valine, nodded respectfully as Neil took his position. The council recognizes Ambassador Brooks of Earth, Valine announced. Please present your species statement for the historical record. Neil looked across the assembled delegates. Some were friendly. Others remained hostile. Most were simply curious about what humans would say now that they'd won their seat. He didn't gloat, didn't threaten. Instead, he spoke from the heart. 3 years ago, I stood in this chamber and asked for membership. You denied us. You laughed at our primitive technology, our limited reach, our apparent weakness. Many of you thought we were a joke. Uncomfortable shifting among the delegates. Neil continued without mercy. You were wrong. But Earth doesn't blame you for that assumption. We deliberately encouraged it. We showed you what we wanted you to see while hiding what we were building. We let you underestimate us because it gave us time to prepare. He pulled up holographic displays showing Earth's true capabilities. The shocked gasps were gratifying. 15 billion humans spread across 6 planets and 43 moons. 5,000 ships under construction. Manufacturing capacity that rivals the top 10 council civilizations. Scientific advancement that developed independently of galactic knowledge. The displays showed Mars cities, Europa habitats, Titan refineries, asteroid shipyards. Everything that the council had missed because they stopped looking once their assumptions were confirmed. We could have revealed this earlier. Could have demanded respect through force. But that's not how humans operate. We believe respect must be earned through actions, not demanded through threats. Neil gestured to the rescued Korthic crew members watching from the gallery. They'd insisted on attending. When lives were at risk, we didn't calculate political advantage. We saved them because humans believe that preserving life transcends political disputes. We acted according to our values, even knowing it would expose our capabilities. He paused, letting that sink in. Then he moved to the heart of his message. Earth brings something unique to the Council. Not superior technology, though we've developed innovations worth sharing. Not military might, though we can defend ourselves. We bring perspective. The displays changed, showing Earth's history. Wars, disasters, near extinctions. The brutal climb from primitive tribes to space-faring civilization. Every species in this council encountered others before achieving interstellar travel. You learned cooperation from meeting aliens. Humans learned it from surviving ourselves. We fought wars that nearly destroyed our world, created weapons that could end all life, poisoned our own atmosphere through ignorance. More images, the recovery, the unity, the determination to do better. We survived because we learned to work together despite our differences. 8 billion people speaking thousands of languages, practicing hundreds of religions, holding millions of different perspectives. We unified not by eliminating diversity, but by embracing it. Neil looked directly at the former critics. Earth was harsh. Earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, pandemics. Our planet tried to kill us for 5 million years. We adapted. We overcame. We turned a hostile world into a garden through sheer stubborn determination. He smiled. The galaxy sees this as a disadvantage. We see it as our greatest strength. Earth taught us that survival requires creativity, cooperation, and the willingness to try solutions no one else considers. The displays shifted to show human innovations. Medical technologies developed from Earth's incredible biodiversity. 3 diseases that plagued billions across the galaxy, cured using compounds found in terrestrial organisms. This is Earth's first gift to the Council. Free medical data. No patents, no restrictions. These cures are available to all species immediately. The chamber erupted. Delegates frantically confirmed the data. It was real. Earth was sharing breakthrough technologies worth trillions in economic value without asking for anything in return. Neil waited for silence before continuing. We do this because it demonstrates human values. We don't seek membership to exploit the Council. We seek partnership to make the galaxy better. Rebecca Stone stood from the human delegation, approaching with a second data package. Earth's scientific community has compiled research on gravity manipulation, quantum communications, and adaptive material science, all developed independently, all available for collaborative study. More shock. Species didn't just give away technological advantages, but humans were doing exactly that. We're not naive, Neil added. We know some species will view us as threats. We know political factions will oppose human integration. That's fine. Earth can be patient. We've waited millions of years to reach the stars. We can wait for acceptance. He looked around the chamber, meeting eyes with delegates from every major faction. But while we wait, we'll keep doing what humans do best. We'll solve problems. We'll help where we can. We'll defend ourselves when necessary. And we'll prove through our actions that Earth deserves to stand among you as equals. Valine stepped forward. The Council will now vote on formal ratification of Earth's membership with full rights and privileges. Neil returned to his seat, knowing the vote was already decided. The political calculations had been made. Earth's military capabilities, economic potential, and technological innovations made them too valuable to exclude. The medical data sealed it. The vote was overwhelming. 731 in favor, 116 against. Earth was now a full council member. Neil accepted the formal recognition with quiet dignity. No celebración, no triunfalismo. Just acknowledgement that this was the beginning, not the end. Over the next months, Earth integrated into galactic society with characteristic human efficiency. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. Human scientists collaborated with alien researchers on projects neither could complete alone. Captain Lisa Wu became Earth's military liaison, earning respect for her professionalism and tactical brilliance. Rebecca Stone led joint research initiatives that produced breakthroughs in energy production and medical treatment. General Hayes maintained Earth's defensive posture while establishing cooperative security arrangements with friendly species. The Korthic Empire, grateful for the rescue and impressed by human capabilities, became Earth's strongest ally. The Salari Federation opened major trade routes through human space. Even species that had opposed membership found that working with humans produced unexpected benefits. Draven's faction attempted one final move against Earth. They proposed restrictions on human expansion, arguing that Earth's rapid growth threatened established territories. The proposal failed catastrophically. Too many species now valued human partnership. Neil sat in his office 6 months after the membership vote, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. Human colonies were expanding. Human ships were joining Council peacekeeping operations. Human innovations were improving lives for billions. Was it worth it? Sarah Kim asked. 3 years of humiliation, hiding our strength, letting them mock us. Neil considered the question. We could have announced our capabilities immediately, demanded respect through force. It would have made us enemies. Instead, we waited. We watched. We learned. And when we finally revealed ourselves, we did it by saving lives. He pulled up the latest intelligence reports. Former opponents were quietly reaching out for cooperation. Species that had laughed at Earth now sought human expertise. The galaxy's perception of humanity had transformed from dismissive contempt to wary respect. The Council learned not to mock us, Neil said quietly. But more importantly, they learned what Earth stands for. We're not conquerors. We're not exploiters. We're partners who contribute as much as we take. Sarah smiled. And if someone threatens us again? Neil's expression hardened. Then they'll learn what every predator on Earth discovered. Humans are most dangerous when protecting what they love. We'll fight with everything we have, using strategies they can't predict, with a determination that comes from surviving 5 million years on the most hostile garden world in the galaxy. He looked out at the stars, thinking about the future. Earth had claimed its place. Now came the work of proving they deserved to keep it. General Hayes contacted from Earth. New colony expedition is ready. We're proposing settlement of 3 systems beyond Council space. Joint ventures with Korthic and Salari partners. Approved, Neil replied. Earth expands. Rebecca sent a message from Mars. Breakthrough in faster-than-light communication. We can reduce relay lag by 70%. Sharing the research with Council scientists tomorrow. Excellent work, Neil responded. Reports flooded in from across human space. 15 billion people building a civilization that spanned multiple star systems. All of them united by the simple idea that Earth's children deserved a place among the stars. The galaxy had spent 3 years thinking humans were primitive, weak, irrelevant. They'd learned better, not through conquest or intimidation, but through demonstration of competence, values, and the unique perspective that came from surviving Earth. Neil raised a glass to the viewport showing the Council station. To Earth. The species that turned silence into strength and mockery into membership. Somewhere in the void, human ships patrolled new territories. Human colonies grew. Human scientists pushed boundaries. All of it built on the foundation of patience, preparation, and the unshakable conviction that humanity belonged among the stars. The Council had learned their lesson. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Never mock the species that chooses patience over pride. Never assume that silence means weakness. Earth silence was shattered. What emerged was a civilization ready to stand as equals, contribute as partners, and defend as warriors if necessary. The galaxy was better for it, and humanity was just beginning to share artifacts. Download All Story Outline Document, MD.